What is up, guys? We are back again, and this time we are talking about cheat meals. Okay, and cheat meals are something that you will see pushed around a lot or talked about a lot in the fitness industry, especially in certain sections of the fitness industry. You'll see it talked about a lot with regard to beginners, but also with like bodybuilders and stuff like that, right? And most of the reasons given for including a cheat meal or why you need to have a cheat meal, there is no real physiological reasoning behind having that cheat meal, right? Like you'll see it claim that having a cheat meal boosts your metabolic rate or makes you re-enter to a fat burning stage or stuff like that. Basically it's going to skyrocket your metabolism and make you somehow get back into a stage where you are losing body fat again, because that's what it's generally talked about. People talk about the cheat meal in regard to dieting, right? And that it doesn't make a huge amount of sense how having more calories is going to then cause you to lose weight, because we know calories are king when it comes to weight gain, weight loss, weight maintenance, all that stuff. Calories are king. If you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not in a calorie surplus, you're not at calorie maintenance, you're not going to achieve your goals. It's as simple as that. Okay. Now, obviously, macronutrients and micronutrients and all that other stuff are definitely important, but calories are king. Okay. So, with that lens, looking at things, how would having more calories, introducing more calories, especially in the form of a cheat meal, which is generally something like, say, I don't know, pizza. Some people even do cheat days where they're literally having all kinds of food, junk food, whatever it is, whatever they've been missing out on their diet, right? They'll have all of them on that day. So how would having all these extra calories then contribute to you losing weight? Okay, like that doesn't make sense. And if it did make sense, then why aren't you dieting full stop on higher calories? Why aren't you having more calories every single day rather than just this one huge massive cheat meal? Okay, so physiologically doesn't make a huge amount of sense. But I hear you say, oh, neat, it's actually, the leptin, there's something. I heard these buzzwords, it's doing something with, my metabolism. It's not boosting my metabolic rate, but it's boosting it somehow so that I start moving around more. I heard something about, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And to an extent, that is true. Like having more calories will potentially boost your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and obviously you have to take into account the thermic effect of feeding. So you burn a little bit more calories when you are eating more, just by virtue of having to digest, assimilate, and do all the stuff with those nutrients. So if you've more food to deal with, you have to actually deal with it more. You have to pay the piper and actually deal with, the consuming, eating that food, digesting it, assimilating it, doing whatever. So all of those things are true to an extent. However, most of the time it's completely overblown. Okay? Like, we'll say even you are not tracking your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. You're not tracking any kind of marker that would allow you to some way extrapolate where that is at. Generally, we use steps. So, if you're not hitting, we'll say 10,000 steps per day, that's an arbitrary unit, like an arbitrary number, but some standardization, you're not tracking that in any way. Like, you could very well get very low down with that and basically not be moving around at all. You're just doing nothing. You go to the gym, you do your cardio, you do your resistance training, and the rest of the day you're pretty much just sat in a chair at your desk. You go home, like you drive home, and you're just sat at home in front of the TV, whatever, right? So very much, or very possibly, you do have a reduced metabolic rate then. Metabolic rate, one of the contributors to your overall metabolism, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, is way down, right? because you've been dieting, because your body is going into this kind of conservation mode. I hate when people are like starvation mode. It's like, no, your body, that's not really a thing, but there are cases where your body is trying to conserve more energy, and one of the ways it does this is it down regulates your NEAT. So again, that non-exercise, the walking around, the fidgeting, all that kind of stuff, it goes down. You reduce that overall, right? So that's definitely a possibility. That could have happened to you. You've been dieting 16, 20 weeks pretty aggressively, and you're going, yeah, I need to have a cheat meal so that I boost that back up, right? And to an extent, that's fair. That's going to work to a small extent. But the claim that people are making that it's now allowing them to go back into this fat burning mode, it's again, I don't understand how if you didn't just spread those calories out throughout the week as well, like you would still have higher NEAT. Or what you could realistically do, which would make way more sense, is standardize your NEAT, like track your steps, do that, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, actually I can still lose body fat, I can still lose weight, and I don't have to rely on this little trickery that maybe potentially, hopefully, boosts your metabolic rate, your non-activity thermogenesis up that little bit, or your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and it boosts that up just a little bit, So it's that kind of ideology, or that kind of idea that it's going to increase your metabolism 1,000%. It doesn't bear out. Yes, it may for you, depending on the situation, depending on the context, depending on where you have been to get to this point. It may boost it ever so slightly, but in the grand scheme of things, that's relatively irrelevant. And you could be getting a way bigger effect by just actually tracking it and hitting some sort of metric for, your steps, for example, throughout the day, So that's the first thing. The physiological reasoning behind it, I'd be hard pressed to find something that makes it something that I would definitely be like, yeah, you need to be doing that. You should be doing that. Okay, so that's the first thing. Physiologically, doesn't make much sense. I would much rather also see, if you were going to do that and you were trying to, overcome some sort of metabolic downturn, I would rather see you go to maintenance for at least 3 days, ideally a week, maybe have like a diet break where you're eating a calorie maintenance, rather than trying to get the effect from one meal where you gorge yourself on 3,000 extra calories, okay? Because generally what happens is people will do that, they'll gorge themselves on this huge meal, and then they'll realize, oh, I'm not actually losing weight. So they get even more restrictive with their calories throughout the week. Maybe they were on 1,600 and now they have to go down to 1,400 because this cheat meal is holding them back, because the calories, even though you don't count them, you're cheating on your diet. Even if you don't count them, they still count. Your body still counts them. Like, just because you didn't put them into the app, like they're still being accounted for. So you have to be more aggressive. And again, then it just becomes this real binge restrict cycle where you are constantly trying to chase your tail, where it's like, oh, this binge meal, I need to have it because my diet is so restrictive. And then you also have to go, okay, well, because I'm having this binge meal, my diet needs to be more restrictive. And again, you just end up in this vicious circle where you're not actually getting any results. You feel like crap Monday to Friday, and then you need to have that cheat meal every single week. So that's again, I just don't see it, especially from a psychological standpoint, right? We could argue that psychologically, some people may do well with a cheat meal. They may do well just kind of restricting their food choices during the week, and then having a day or two where they go up to maintenance and have some of the foods that they've been missing out on. That's definitely, like, psychologically, for some people, that allows them to adhere to their diet much better overall. However, you should have noted there that I still said that the calories were accounted for. So it's not really a cheat meal. All they're doing is they're strategically hiring their calories on certain days. Right? So again, they might on the weekend say like, okay, so Saturday I'm going up to maintenance. That means I have a little bit extra calories to play around with. I can actually, fit this into my diet, which is, it doesn't really fit in with what I'm trying to do with my diet overall. But because I'm actually having it once per week, it's allowing me to psychologically stay more adherent to my diet, because I'm actually thinking like, okay, well, it's actually, I just have to wait a week, and then I can, as long as I hit my numbers throughout the week, then I can have this meal that I really love. Maybe, I don't know, it doesn't have to be, like I said, like a pizza or something like that. Maybe it is, I don't know, an apple tart. Like, I like apple tart, so if it's like that, you're just like, all right, well, I know that if I'm good Monday to Saturday, on Sunday I can higher my calories up a little bit to maintenance, and I can have this little bit of a treat in my diet, right? So psychologically, that may allow people to adhere to their diet better. But again, it must be tracked. It must actually have some sort of function. Like, it's not, like, psychologically, you want to be thinking of that as having a function that is positive. Like, you don't want to be setting up a thing where it's a binge restrict cycle. Like, again, like we said, like the psychology of that, where you're literally chasing your tail, you're Monday to Friday, Monday to Saturday, whatever it is, you're just really, really restrictive, and then you have this huge binge cheat meal, and it's like, you're chasing your tail. Psychologically, that's giving you a very, very poor relationship with food, and you're really just in that kind of binge restrict cycle that so many people find themselves in, right? So again, if you are going to have cheat meals, you want to be thinking like, physiologically, okay, maybe it's not doing much. Psychologically, is this a positive psychological thing? Like, is this, allowing me reminisce, socialize or something? And am I accounting for it? Like, physiologically, you're still accounting for the calories. And again, the psychology of it is a positive thing, where it's like, yeah, I'm actually more adherent to my diet. I'm able to socialize. I'm able to do whatever it is. And it's a net positive. Or is it psychologically this thing where it's like, yeah, this is just a binge restrict cycle that I'm getting more and deeper and deeper and deeper in, So again, you have to think of it from that perspective. Like the way I always kind of look at it is like, if you have a poor relationship with food overall, like, you wouldn't, like, if you just do it to something else, like, it's obviously a little bit of a false dichotomy, but putting it into other kind of scenarios allows you to have a better realization of what's going on in terms of, how does this actually make sense? Like, you wouldn't say, oh, I'm going to cheat on my partner to increase the I don't know what you would say, have a better relationship with your partner. Like, you wouldn't cheat on them to increase the relationship status, or whatever you want to say, like the quality of your relationship, like that doesn't really make a huge amount of sense, right? Same with, you wouldn't say to an alcoholic like, oh yeah, just, Saturday, just go on a wild one, that'll allow you to, like, stay away from alcohol Monday to Friday, like, that doesn't make sense. Same with a smoker, you wouldn't just be like, yeah, of course, just really, really restrict yourself, and really, really be in, like, psychologically really, really need, physiologically really, really need these cigarettes, Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday just go fucking wild, like, it's great, like, you wouldn't say that in any of those contexts. So why would you say the same thing for your diet? Like, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense physiologically or psychologically, right? So you have to be thinking, why am I having this cheat meal? Like, why am I telling people to have this cheat meal if you're a coach? Like, how is that affecting them? How is that affecting me? Like, you want to be thinking, or if you are bringing in a cheat meal, you want to be thinking, like, why am I bringing this in? Is this actually affecting what I want it to affect? And that's not to say that you can, or that you have to be 1,000%, 1,000,000,000,000,000% adherent to your diet, hit your calories, your macros, everything, every single day, right? That's not to say that. Like, no one's saying that you have to be perfect with your diet, right? But I wouldn't set up a diet with the expressed aim that we are going to have a cheat every single week or every single month or whatever time frame, right? Like, to me, the idea of, having a cheat, that means that the diet as a whole is negative. It's something that you need to cheat on. It's something that you're kind of looking at and going, no, this is not something I could see myself doing long term, and I'm going to consistently cheat on it. It's the positive is the cheating, the negative is the diet as a whole. And again, you can just, if you just step back from that and look at that and go, okay, that's obviously something that is not going to be sustainable long term, right? Whereas if you set it up with the expressed aim, and again, it's going to be different for different people. Some people are going to be able to, have a little bit of something daily and be good with that. They might be able to be like, all right, I have a chocolate or two, a square or two of chocolate per day, and they're going to be fine with that. That allows them to increase their overall adherence to the diet, the numbers they want to hit, the portions they want to hit, or whatever way they have the diet structured, and that allows them to adhere to it much better, right? Or you're going to have the people that are like, all right, well, if there's one day per week that I can have a little bit more of something that I want, then I'm actually able to adhere to the diet a little bit better. And again, you can set that up a number of ways. Generally, I just like the go to maintenance day, where it's like, okay, cool, we're not losing fat on this day, and we're maintaining what we've achieved throughout the week. Like, yes, weight may be up a little bit, but that's more so from like glycogen and stuff, and water. But then on that day, you're like, okay, cool, we can actually fit a little bit more of what you actually want into the diet rather than just spacing it out throughout the week. And there seems to be those two type of people. If you look at the literature and you look at, like, if you're coaching people, you generally tend to find that those are the two kind of people. People like they need to have a bigger portion of it. Rather, if they had, like, they couldn't stop at 1 to 2 squares of chocolate. They'd have to have the bar, whereas other people are just like, yeah, just have 1 or 2 squares of chocolate per day. I enjoy it, but it's not something that I'm like, oh, like I need to, I need to have the whole bar then afterwards, So in terms of the cheat meals, you need to be thinking of it psychologically, physiologically, and as a very general rule, it has negative connotations, like cheating. Even the word, the idea of cheating, it means that it's negative. So same with even like treating. Like you treat a dog, you give a dog a treat. You don't give humans a treat. You don't want to use food as a reward. Like that just, again, sets up poor dietary relationships overall, because then you need to constantly reward yourself with food. And again, like, humans do that. It is part of who we are. Like, we've always had feasts and always had whatever, and that is a kind of a reward. But again, it's like, you don't want to set yourself up for a poor relationship with food overall. You want to be thinking, why am I bringing this cheat meal in? Is it affecting me physiologically? No, not really. Like, yes, it may mean that my NEAT goes up for a day or two, and maybe I just have been really, really restrictive for the last, 20 weeks. You're going into a contest preparation or something, and you're kind of like, look, I actually would just kill for a Domino's right now. So again, if you have another 20 weeks or so to your show or whatever, you can take the hit and go, look, I know this is a setback, but psychologically, I feel that I need this, and you can just have it, and then again go straight back into your diet. That's going to work for some people. However, the vast majority of people, that's just not going to work for. They're going to find themselves chasing their tail. They're going to be like, right, that meal set me back. I saw the scales. It went up fucking 3 kilos after that. And now I'm going to have to be more restrictive. And again, they set themselves up for this. Oh, I have my weekly cheat meal. And then I have this really, really restrictive week. And again, that's the cycle most people find themselves in with cheat meals. And it's just a bad cycle to get in, right? But again, you have to look at it from the psychological point of view. If there are foods in your diet that you're kind of like, or rather there's foods that you enjoy eating that you can't fit into your diet, that maybe if you did have slightly higher calories, you could fit in, then maybe 1 or 2 days a week or per month or whatever, where you go up to maintenance and you fit those foods in, will allow you to better adhere to your overall diet, right? So again, you have to, but in that case, before I go on, and in that case, I wouldn't be calling them a cheat meal. I would just be like, right, we're going to fit this into the diet. This is how we're going to structure it. It's not a cheat. It's nothing like that. It's literally just like, you've wanted this food for a while now. Let's find a way to fit this into the diet overall. And again, there are some poorer strategies to do that, where people will be like, yeah, cool, I'm actually going to have that pizza, or I'm going to have that bag of chips, or whatever it is. And then they'll just be like, right, but I'm actually just going to do 3,000 calories worth of cardio spread over the day of it and the day after it. And I'm just going to punish myself for overeating like that, And like, again, that's another cycle that people find themselves in, where they start punishing themselves for the calories that they've overeaten. And again, It's not something you want to get into. At the end of the day, there's no physiological reasoning behind a cheat meal. It's not stoking your metabolic fire. It's not causing you to get this huge increase in your metabolism. It may give you some sort of increase, especially if you're not doing what we recommend generally and having some sort of metric for your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Again, we like steps. Like if you may notice an increase in that, and again, you may notice as well, and this is something that you see a lot on social media. People will be like, "Oh, I had that cheat meal and whatever, and I woke up the next day, I felt leaner and I felt tighter, I felt great." And generally, these are people that are already in like amazing shape and they've been dieting for ages, and all they did was refill their glycogen. They refill their muscles with water and glycogen. So their muscles feel a little bit bigger. They feel a little bit more pumped, and maybe the sodium or whatever in the meal they had also contributed. So they feel maybe a little bit watery around the stomach, but overall they feel tighter. They're like, yeah, I have more energy to push in the gym. And again, it's just because they've eaten more calories. I would just rather spread those calories out throughout the week. You know, it makes more sense to me in my mind anyway. So yeah, cheat meals, it's not a great strategy for anyone. That doesn't mean that they are completely bad. Like I don't like black or white thinking where it's like this is just awful. However, if you are going to have foods in your diet that you would classify as cheat foods, you know, I would either look to structure the diet so that you can include them and still be aware of where your calories and macronutrients are at overall. And also I'd be looking at, you know, why are you eating a diet that isn't satisfying in terms of the taste, the foods that you're eating. Like, yes, there always are going to be foods that are impossible to fit into any kind of calorically restrictive diet. Like, you're not going to be eating Domino's pizza every single day when you're trying to get contest lean. Like, yes, that's not to say that there's good or bad foods, but there are foods that are going to allow you to hit your calories and macronutrients much more easily than, you know, I don't know, a pizza, you know. And that's not to say that some people, especially if they have high calorie requirements, can't fit it in, or you can't fit some sort of portion of it in, like a slice of pizza. But again, most people aren't going to be the slice of pizza kind of person. They're going to be the whole pizza kind of person. So again, you have to look at the physiology, the psychology, and for 99% of the people out there, there's no real reason to have a cheat meal, right? So if you are having cheat meals, like, I would take a step back, assess why you are having them. If there's no good reason apart from, oh, well, I've been good all week and I deserve this, then you probably should think about structuring your diet a little bit better, and probably potentially going to see someone about your relationship with your food, you know, or like even just talk to someone about that. Like, why do you have this black and white thinking? Why do you need to treat yourself every single week with food, you know? But yeah, for most people, cheat meals just don't really make a huge amount of sense.